Oh, hey. Can you hear me? Awesome. All right, cool. Well, good to see you here, Austin. How's it going tonight? Where are you from, Austin? I know you've seen you on my comments quite a bit, so I always look forward to. Oh, hey, Charlie. What's up, man? So exciting to see you guys here. So I'm in and out. Okay, gotcha. Nice. Vegas. Okay, cool. That I would not have guessed that. I don't know why I would have guessed anything, but messing around with Margit. Okay, are you doing like a challenge run? Your challenges are crazy. You're like no roll, no levels. Could never do that shit. And where are you from, Charlie? If you don't mind me asking. Oh God, how's Redon hitless going? It's going terribly. I mean, terribly in as much as it's not done, and I wish that it was. But okay, North Carolina, cool. Hey, Adam, welcome, welcome. Um, I'm super close every time, and that's what's so frustrating is I've beaten Radon. I beat Radon a while ago, but I'm working on doing it hitless. And I have not succeeded yet. I have many times gotten very close, like hit once. Um, and this is how it always happens for me. I like get very close for a while with these hitless runs. And I just like fuck up on one minor thing here and there, because I'm old and not that good. And then eventually, just by chance, kind of, I just get it. But this one is taking me. This is probably the worst one, I think. I did switch to today. I switched to the Sekiro tier, Deflect. And that's made a huge difference. So I feel like I'm a lot closer now. The rolling is just too inconsistent. If you stay on the side at a very specific angle, you can roll the slash, but he moves around so much that you have to, or at least for me, you have to keep repositioning yourself. And he'll pump it out so quickly that a lot of times he was getting me as I was repositioning. So I just decided to go with the Sekiro tier, and it took me a minute to now I have to the terrain is horrible. The terrain, I've thought about it a lot, and I can live with a lot of the stuff that I don't love with the fight, but the two things that need to change, I think, are the terrain and of course the 3-hit combo. The terrain is abysmal. I mean, the way that you can just trip, it's horrible, horrible. Hate the idea of hitless fighting him. I prefer face tanking. Awful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the worst one I've done, definitely. I think I've probably done around 100 bosses hitless so far, and this is the worst, definitely. I think probably before this, Sister Frida took the longest, just because it's 3 phases. I mean, that was, I think, the one that I actually succeeded on. That video is like 9 minutes long, so that one took quite a long time, but this has taken longer. Yeah, it's horrible. But the Sekiro tier is definitely making a difference. I just have to, I'm like retraining my impulses, you know. But yeah, so it sucks. I can't wait to be done with it. Cannot wait to be done with it. A couple of times I've thought about just like leaving up the one that I have with only getting hit 3 times, but I'm just so fucking stubborn. I'm so stubborn. I can't live with the thought of failing. So I think I'm just gonna keep doing it. And I made my review video already, so I don't really have anything else lined up at the moment. Charlie says I'm progressing through the DLC so slowly that hopefully everything will. Yeah, yeah. I hope so too. I was really hoping that in that patch that came out, I was so devastated. I was scrolling down so slowly, just like hoping that each centimeter I would see the word Radon, and then when it didn't, I was so upset. Oh God, I don't reckon they'll what? There's a fix. I don't know. I think possibly. I mean, everybody that I've seen, like literally everybody that I've seen on my channel that comments that likes him, every single one of them says, but the 3-hit combo has to go. Like the biggest Radon defenders don't like the 3-hit combo. So I agree. I don't think that they're going to do very much to him. And they might do nothing. I mean, who the fuck knows with them? But I'm still holding out hope that they'll at least. I mean, I think they should just delete it completely. I doubt they'll do that. Maybe they'll change the timing or the hitboxes or something. I mean, at the very least, you should be able to dodge the whole thing. So I hope they'll do that. Pedro, welcome. If the 3-hit combo tweak, where would you rank the boss? I would still need, I don't know if you heard what I was saying before. I would still need, I think, my like few other fixes before I would rank him. I want them to flatten the terrain, and I want them to cut Mikkola's hair a little bit. Like I said, I would tolerate just the 3-hit, and then it would be fine. But for it to be like S tier, I think I need the other ones as well. But if they just nerfed the triple slash, I don't know. Maybe now I would call it like A, maybe B. My issue with the hair is less difficulty than it is kind of philosophical, which is a little bit of a bombastic word to use for a video game. But basically what I mean is like, I am the king of Twin Prince enjoyers. That was my first popular video, popular by my standards. It got like 4,500 views. That was the first video of mine that got any views. So yeah. But what I was saying was that in the second phase, because of all the visual clutter, I mean, it's not that you can't not see, but it's difficult to see. And so what you have to do is just go from kind of muscle memory from the first phase. And I'm opposed to that. Like, I am in favor of having to learn a boss very deeply, but the point at which you have to learn it so deeply that you're obliged to do blind playthroughs, I think is sort of like a self-parody. I think you should always be able to see what's going on, even if you need to learn the move set. So even though it doesn't hinder my ability to do the fight, I don't like that choice of design. Yeah. Yeah, Vicar Amelia does have the same. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, I don't know her as well, but I do remember fighting her and and being like, yeah, the hair is everywhere. Bloodborne's an interesting case. I don't think I'll no hit Bloodborne for a number of reasons, but yeah, if eliminates a haircut, you are right. It blocks vision. Yeah, I mean it's particularly abominable in that like 6 hit combo that he has. I mean that one and everything else you can. I feel like you can basically sometimes or often see, but in that 6 hit combo he uses in the second phase, you just can't. I mean, I cannot see it ever. I've just had to learn the timing of that purely by impulse, which I think is insane. Um, so yeah, yeah, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I cannot wait to be done with it. Let's see if I missed anything here. How could they fix the 3 hit combo? Maybe they could make it so the first two can be dodged in one roll. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like if you should be able to. I mean, it almost looks like you should be able to, right? It's so if you're light rolling, you should definitely be able to dodge those first two in one and make it a 2 roll thing. Alternatively, you could slow it. They could slow it down and make it just a 3 roll, um, or they could get the fuck rid of it. That I think at this point I'm so sick of it that I'd be like, yeah, just get rid of it. But if they didn't get rid of it, then yeah, either make the first 2 rollable in one, or just make the whole thing rollable. What do I think of Bloodborne bosses? Okay, so Bloodborne is an interesting situation. Hold on, let me just satisfy my addiction here. So I have played Bloodborne, but I am not able to learn it as thoroughly. I have yeah, I get that hate rebuff exactly. Yeah. I got medial epicondylitis from a gym injury, which is basically like golfer's elbow is another name for it, and had to do like a lot of physical therapy. And there is something about the PlayStation controller that maybe it's the size, it's the shape, I don't know what it is, but if I use it for more than an hour, it reactivates my injury. Um, and like I can be in pain in my arm for like 3 days. So I can only play Bloodborne like a very little bit at a time. So I've never been able to learn the bosses in the same way that I've learned Dark Souls and Sekiro and Elden Ring bosses. Um, so my ability to like talk about them is pretty limited. I've fought them and beaten the game and stuff, but I haven't played it over and over again like I have with a lot of these other games just because of my injury. It is a tragedy, I know. I found online like basically some customized controllers, like Xbox controllers that are kind of remapped for PlayStation, but they're like $175, which I mean I could afford, but it doesn't seem. I could afford it, but I couldn't justify it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll use my little teeny tiny YouTube profits to. That's my plan with any money that I make on here is to reinvest it in stuff for this channel. So um, I don't know. I don't know if you even want to like. I just feel like Bloodborne is a game that's almost intentionally not designed not to be no hitted. Like it does seem to me the fundamental system of that combat is sort of unlike Elden Ring and Dark Souls and Sekiro because of the rallying system. It kind of seems to me like the whole apparatus is built on the idea of hit trading, and you don't have a deflecting weapon, and you only have a sidestep, which I find to be much less effective than a dodge roll. Um, Sekiro has a sidestep instead of the dodge roll, but it has a deflection system. So it feels to me like that, like Bloodborne is not as based around. There are, yeah, no, I mean, definitely people do Bloodborne hitless. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that like I don't think it's as designed for challenge runners in mind. Um, yeah, so I just think it's has kind of like a different system, but I haven't tried it. I haven't tried no hitting it. Um, but the no hits that I have seen, they just are they look a little less elegant. Again, because I don't think that it's as built for challenge runners. I don't know though. It's just my impression. So I might try it one day if I get that new controller or something. But I think my kind of order for the no hits is uh, to go back to the base game of Elden Ring. You might remember it's been a hot minute now, but I made a save state before the DLC came out, and I had just wrapped up Liurnia, so I have still quite a bit of the base game to go. So I'm gonna once I finish this DLC, I'll save my DLC character, but then kind of plug back in my pre DLC character and work my way through there. And I had also simultaneously started doing Sekiro, so I'll also do that. Um, yeah. Have you tried parrying Radon? I have not tried parrying Radon, just because this no hit will be without parries. Um, so I haven't tried that yet, but that might be kind of something for a future playthrough. Um, what do I hope or expect from Software next? I don't know. I think it would be interesting to have a game that had a dodge roll and a deflect together, right? Like we've had those separately. And with this Sekiro tier, this is uh like our first time seeing those things together, and I think it's super cool see to see those together. So I think that would be really interesting. I see a lot of people on my channel kind of complaining like, oh, From Software has done the same thing over and over again. It's time to move on from the dodge roll. I get that perspective. I just think, and I know Charlie also, you like doing no roll runs and stuff like that. I just like rolling. I just think it's super fun. So I would personally be perfectly happy to just keep rolling forever. But I do get the impulse to want some variety. So I think, having something. I hate sidestepping though. I really hate it. So yeah, having something that's like a combination of being able to roll, but also having deflection like in Sekiro, that could be a really cool combination to have. Um, I would like more Elden Ring stuff, but I don't think they're going to do it, because they've said they're not going to do it. I would love to see some Ronnie stuff. I feel like she, as left, is such a like astrology girl, where it's always kind of like she's talking about cosmic mumbo jumbo, um, and you're like, Ronnie, what the fuck are you talking about? So uh, I think it would be interesting to explore her shit a little bit more. I kind of think that my hot take about Ronnie is that she's like incredibly self-centered, and is not good. Let's see. So I'm just rambling though. Ronnie's not. I mean, Ronnie's wrapped up in as much as like the quest is wrapped up, but I mean, walk the dark path of the moon. You know, like nobody knows what the fuck that means. I mean, she's so obscure in what she's talking about that, like, I think that they could. Yeah, that's another one. So I do think there's a lot to explore with what Ronnie is talking about, um, and the Godskin stuff, Glow-Eyed Queen, that would also be really cool. So I think there are stories in there that that they could definitely do more with. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I mean, I kind of want more just because, like, I mean, I do love this DLC and stuff. I'm a little sad about what they did with Mikola, to be honest with you. Like, I really loved him in the base game. I thought he was like like a little anti-fascist character. Um, he made like his tolerance tree where all the misfits could go. And he was the only one that was like, I mean, the game makes it really clear that the Golden Order is basically like a fascist organization. And he was the only one that they took great pains to be like, yeah, he knows that. And he's trying to build an alternative system. And they went a certain direction with the implications of that in the DLC, which is like fine. But I wanted him to be a homie. I really did not think that we were going to fight him because I thought he was just like going to be our homie. Um, so that bums me out a little bit, and I would like more content. Uh, but I don't think that I'm going to get it. um, yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do next. Let's see. I mean, have they spun Moog? I mean, I don't know if they've spun Moog into a victim though. Like, Moog was still running a horrifying blood cult full of miserable people. Um, is there any actual evidence that he was controlled? Right? Like, it worked to Mikola's benefit for sure. But is there anyone other than Ansbach who was like self-interested, right? Like Ansbach worked for Moog, and so he is inclined to see Moog as a victim. But is there any? I was looking like, is there any item or anything that actually says Mikola controlled Moog and forced him to do it? I don't think that there is. I mean, it could be the case that I'll grant you, like, one interpretation that is valid is that Moog was controlled, but I also don't think there's any actual evidence that he was. Presumably, Mikola could have just like entered the Shadowland from the Halig tree. Um, so I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't see Moog as a victim. Even if he was controlled, he's a victim with respect to Mikola, but he's not a victim with respect to his like horrible, horrifying blood cult full of clearly immiserated people. um, I mean, the Formless Mother, I don't think is supposed to be portrayed in a particularly positive way. Yeah, it's not that he's. I don't think Ansbach is being actively dishonest, but Ansbach might be like inclined to interpret things in a way that he believes is true, right? He definitely, I don't think he's dishonest. I think he definitely believes that Moog was a victim. But I don't know that we need to believe that Moog was a victim just because he says it. He could be, but I didn't see any evidence that that it's definitely the case. So who knows? I mean, a podcast. Haven't had a. There was a little emoji in the way. Special. Okay, special guest. Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. Yeah, Moog might have been a nasty guy before. He took Mikola either way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, virtuous tyrant. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is the direction that they went with him, which is, yeah, like, misguided, right? I think that's probably the message that they want to convey with Mikola is good intentions, bad execution. um, which again, I mean, that has George R. R. Martin all over it. Uh, so it doesn't surprise me, but it does bum me out. I mean, it's kind of like at some point, one time in a From Software game, it would be it would be great to have somebody that was just plain good, right? um, but uh, but yeah, if anybody was going to be just plain good, I had hoped it was him because before the DLC, like I said, he comes across so positively to me in the base game. Like I really love what he represents in the base game. Um, yeah, America could have started off with good intentions. Um, although again, I feel like they left that quite ambiguous. I feel like I don't know a ton about America's story. Um, I guess you can piece together a good amount of it. Her village, going to her village was very cool. The music, um, and the item descriptions of like her praying for the village that I think they implied that she annihilated. So yeah, I thought that was actually like pretty cool. Even if they left a lot of her story ambiguous, I felt like there was enough to piece together there. Um, can I say hi to Luke Oakley? Hello, Luke Oakley. He's DIYing over here. He needs a hello. He gets a hello. Tears ahead. Yeah, yeah, man. Right, exactly. Um, yeah. So that was pretty cool. Happy Solo's next. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I don't think we're gonna get it. Who was I saying? I was thinking about this the other day, but like to me the kind of move that they often do, the like trademark, is that there's I think with From Software games, there are wrong decisions, but there aren't right decisions. Right? There are to me, there's always decisions that are clearly wrong, but no decisions that are 100% certain to be right. And yeah, I think that is a theme that you see kind of over and over again. And I might get into trouble because the things that I think are clearly wrong, like some people, some people might think are right. But like in Dark Souls 3, I think you are not supposed to link the fire. Like I don't know, I feel like they make it pretty fucking clear that everybody is miserable because they keep linking the fucking fire. Um, But then, what are the alternatives? They're like a little scary, right? Like the abyss um, doesn't seem that great, although sometimes there's some evidence, right, that like maybe the people complaining about the abyss are not the only voices we should trust, right? So, and then Gale has an alternative as well to the linking of the fire in the painted world, and similar likewise in Elden Ring. I don't think that you're supposed to just like. I think the worst one is to just become Elden Lord and keep everything the same. And they say, I mean, there's to me they just make it like pretty obvious. And the frenzied flame, I also think they don't want you to do. Um, Melena's dialogue, I think, is pretty clearly speaking for the game. Um, I think that's the kind of narrative voice there as well. Uh, and Shabriri is like a genocidal maniac as well. So, yeah. What endings did you guys like the most? That's a good question. Before the DLC, I'll tell you that was um, mine was not Ronnie's because, like I said, I think Ronnie is kind of a self-interested sociopath. um, I think I think she's right to be like the Golden Order sucks, the Greater Will is awful, but she seems most concerned about herself and nobody else. So Ronnie's ending doesn't do it for me. The closest ending that I think gets to something that's good is Gold Masks. Although I don't love keeping the Golden Order around, his critique of the Golden Order is everything that I critique about the Golden Order. So he's the closest one. He to me is the ending that jives with me the best. What about you guys though? Yeah, frenzy for the cool factor. I mean, yeah, it is total nihilism, right? And but it is cool. All right, we got another Gold Mask fan in the house. I think a lot of people do Ronnie's ending for sure. I think I did Ronnie's ending the first time simply because there's so much, like, she has the most involved quest. So by the end of it, you're like, I've done so much fucking Ronnie shit that, like, of course I'm going to do the Ronnie ending. What am I going to have done all of this Ronnie crap and not do the Ronnie ending? So yeah, the first time I think I did the Ronnie ending. Ronnie's in my DMs. Lucky you, right? Yeah, did she give you her engagement ring? Yeah, exactly, right? So Solabre says um, uh, that even Gold Mask's ending might be problematic, and I think that's the point, right? It's like there aren't clear correct answers. I think there are clear wrong answers, but never clear correct ones. And you kind of just have to do the best you can, which I think is like kind of cool. I mean, I like it, but in this one instance here of them like ruining my Mikola fantasy, it does kind of suck. um, yeah. Covenants, yeah. No. Oh, hey, Lolly, what's up? Lolly's been here from Lolly's an OG. When did you when did you sub, Lolly? You've been here like I've seen that smiley face for a long time, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, I do think what's so great about Elden Ring is this like the depth of the lore and the amount of nuance that like genuinely interesting conversations you can have about it. Um, and I think you can do that with Dark Souls, but I just kind of I think that the lore is just deeper in Elden Ring. I think it's just like wider and deeper. It's a bigger game, and it should be. They hired George R. R. Martin. Like, it shouldn't be controversial to say that. It would be an active failure on their part if they couldn't make a richer lore system by hiring George R. R. Martin. That would be a problem. Yeah, Slave Knight Gale. Damn. Yeah, that's a Slave Knight Gale was, I think, before Twin Princes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think I started off just doing no hits of Dark Souls 3 stuff, and then the first video essay I did was just about why I like Dark Souls 3. That video is terrible. And then I did the SKG analysis, and then I did Twin Princes. And it was like Twin Princes where I first started getting like actual subscribers. Gale analysis as well. Very cool. Yeah. Where are you from, Solabre? And Lolly. Austin's from Vegas. Charlie, North Carolina. Yeah, and Pedro, where are you guys from? And Adam. International. Okay, cool. I was just in Europe. New Zealand, awesome. Oh my god, I love it. I love this international crew. One of my best friends here is from New Zealand. Um, yeah, he lives just down the street from me, and I go to the UK. It's been a minute, but I was in a former life pursuing a PhD in history, and I studied medieval English history. So spent a lot of time in the UK. Love it there. And Greece is on my list of places that I desperately want to go. Not in the summer though. Wilhelm, hey, it's the donut. Yeah, my New Zealander friend took me to a rugby game in DC. Oh, it's a bagel. Okay, these icons are so hard to see. So hard to see. Um, Wilhelm, we're talking about where we're from. If you're comfortable sharing, Pedro is asking, "Do I notice any hints of English history in From Software games?" I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily English history specifically, but they definitely use a medieval aesthetic. But that's pretty common to fantasy because of how fantasy developed as a genre in the 19th century through basically like Victorian era medieval kind of people who were for political and economic reasons interested in idealizing the Middle Ages. So and they started sort of writing these kind of proto fantasy like William Morris and stuff like that. So fantasy as it developed as a genre became very wedded to like what people think the Middle Ages are. So there's definitely a lot of medieval-ish aesthetics, but they're all sort of made up and not real. But yeah, I don't know about any particular history. Visiting from the Boreal Valley, yeah. Let's see. I'm from the Abyss. Okay. All right. You're from the Abyss. How is the Abyss? We were debating. Well, we weren't really debating. I was speculating about the Abyss. Is the Abyss as terrible as they say? Or are the people who suspect that maybe it's not as bad as they say, are they right? How's the Abyss? The Abyss is chill. I'm glad. What was my favorite? Yeah. What was my favorite boss to no hit? Um, favorite boss from the DLC or ever? Okay. Yeah, so this might change because I haven't finished Elden Ring because I started doing the run before the DLC came out. I cleared Limgrave, Weeping Peninsula, and Liurnia. Um, and then the DLC came out, so I did the DLC. So still have a lot left of Elden Ring to do, so the answer might change, but let's keep it to where we are now. Um, favorite to no hit. It's a good question. I mean, I think I might have said this in one of my boss analysis videos, but to be honest with you, I really don't enjoy doing it at all. I find the whole thing like very frustrating. um, but I'm mostly doing it to prove a point. Um, so I guess the least miserable ones were favorite boss. Okay, yeah, Mesmer. Yeah, I know that's kind of like a basic bitch answer, but I think they really nailed it with Mesmer. He is a very good boss. Midra also I liked a lot. Um, but yeah, I think Mesmer is probably my favorite from the DLC. And Midra might be second. um, and then third, I want to go back and do Rolana without no hitting her. I found her um, horrible to no hit before Radon. Rolana was the worst. Bale, I completely memory hold Bale. Yeah, Bale's probably my second favorite. Okay, so yeah, Mesmer, then Bale, then Midra. I want to revisit Rolana in a not no hit context. She was horrible to no hit, horrible, um, really, really just awful. Um, but I think I might like her a lot better if I don't have to care about not getting hit. So, um, yeah, I like all of them really, except uh, I mean, putting aside Radon because it's kind of a special case of there are things that I like and don't like, and a lot of my biggest issues are philosophical with him. Um, uh, the one that I probably disliked the most was Gaius, but I didn't even dislike him that much. I don't know. I'd give him like a B. Um, yeah. So I thought overall the lineup was really, really good. Yeah. Hey, bye, Lolly. Thanks for joining us. Very cool to see you in the stream and be able to talk with you for the first time. But yeah, what about you guys? Who are your favorites? Best boss? No, Nolan's Nolan's down with Mesmer objectively and subjectively. Dale, yep. My Dragons movie is my most viewed by like a country mile. It has 78,000 views, which is crazy. I had to stop looking at the comments almost immediately because they were just all people telling me that I was wrong. So I was like, all right, I get the point. Yeah. Jokes on them, though. The more comments there are, the better it is for me. Slidewig. But I've only played the main game, Elden Ring and Bloodborne. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I still think for like nostalgia and for legit reasons, if we're talking of all time, I'm still going to go with Gale. Like definitely not the most mechanically complex, but I've said it over and over again. Complexity is one factor for me, but it's not the be all and end all. Am I getting sick? I don't know. I might be. I'm definitely been coughing today. So yeah, I was at a couple of different places with a lot of people recently. So it's definitely possible. But I work from home, so shouldn't be a problem. Nameless King. Yeah, Nameless King is great. And Nameless King is great. Also important, I think, evolution-wise. Mentioned him in a lot of videos. I think he's like a real turning point for them as a studio. Very interesting. Very interesting boss. Very cool once it clicks. He's one of those bosses where it's like once you figure out what's going on and like why you're not succeeding at first, the whole thing falls into place. And then his like also just random there's also just he's got like some draconic tree sentinel shades in him like that are also pretty cool. Shadow of the Erdtree was the most mixed review DLC from. Do you think they will switch their approach to more forgiving? And if so, um, no, I don't think that they're gonna. I think Miyazaki even recently said in an interview that like making things less difficult would break the whole system. So I don't think that they're going to make it. I don't think that they're going to change their boss design in terms of being difficult. I think I've often wondered if Elden Ring kind of caught them by surprise because of its I feel like the before Elden Ring, the appeal of these games was for just the Souls community, right? And like we're all masochists. um but then Elden Ring just blew up, right? And so it's also for non-Souls players. And I think they have tried to cultivate that kind of duality by and ability to please both communities by making the bosses as hard, if not harder, than we've ever had, but also giving way more tools to deal with them uh, than we've had in the past for before. So, and I think it works. I mean, that's what frustrates me about like the people who do a lot of complaining about the difficulty is you can nuke bosses and you can tank a ton of damage. I think people just don't like people who are looking to kind of do that sometimes maybe don't realize. I think that a legit criticism is that a lot of this stuff is kind of underexplained. So people don't realize, if you put on super heavy armor, if you put on the max damage negation talismans, the amount of damage you could tank is crazy. And then you get like Comet Azure, you get Blasphemous Blade, you get, the Blink Bolt Axe now. I mean, you could just destroy shit in this game. Um, so I don't know. I'm rambling. I can't even remember what I was answering. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about that because I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me read more questions. Hey, it's Googly Moogly. How are you doing, man? What other games do I play? The other games that I play usually are FPS games um, and open world RPGs. The Witcher 3 is my favorite game of all time. I've played it like 500 times. My other top games are Souls games. The original World War II Call of Duty from way back in the day. That's in there just for nostalgia. Um, but yeah, my kind of top games are DS3, Elden Ring, Sekiro, Witcher 3, um, the Call of Duty, World War II, the original one, and I can't remember which one, but the the Assassin's Creed that was in Renaissance Italy. That was a top all-time game for me. I was a senior in college when that came out, and that was just like a mind-blowing experience. Uh, Skyrim also, modded out with better graphics is just great. Yeah, Assassin's Creed 2. I think that's what it was. But yeah, Witcher 3 is my favorite game of all time. I've played it a million times. Let me just catch up on some chit chat here. My favorites. Dover says that my fave Souls is Owl Father. Yeah, from Sekiro, if that counts. That definitely counts. And I've had a long-standing video idea that I want to make at some point about why Sekiro is a Soulsborne game. Um, so I think it definitely counts. I think you're right. The same players who criticize Lawrence Vicker. Yeah, exactly. The concept IMO as a low skill floor while high skill ceiling. Yes, I agree. I think the main debate. Jose Victor, welcome. Um, Witcher 3 is amazing. Googly Mowgli has great taste, so does not surprise me. Hey, Germ. Do you ever dive into other combat systems, even just on your own? I'm currently no hitting bosses in GO. I do not know what those acronyms stand for. You're going to have to spell those out for me, unfortunately. Enjoy Witcher 3 combat. Did I enjoy Witcher 3 combat? Yeah. God of War, God of War, God of War. Yeah, God of War is fun. God of War, I have the same issue though. You might not have been here when I was describing it. I have an issue with being able to like play PlayStation games because of the controller and an elbow injury that I have. The shape of the controller, the size, whatever, I don't know what it is, but it aggravates this injury that I got in the gym a few years ago. And so I can really only play PlayStation for like 1 or 2 hours a week before my arm starts really hurting. So I've played God of War and enjoyed it. But again, I just, same thing with Bloodborne, like I can only play them very slowly. But to Pedro's question, do I enjoy the combat? Yeah, I enjoy the combat. I mean, I enjoy The Witcher 3 just for the world overall. I think the most the open world is one of the most like alive worlds that I think exists in video games. Really, every nook and cranny is just full of stuff. The crafting system is unbelievable. And the stories are just great. I mean, it's just a top to bottom. I just love that game. I really love it. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I did not like about God of War was that I just felt like the enemies were so tanky, and the damage that you did was so shit. But yes, oh my god, please port it. I know, I think that every day. I'm like, do a port to PC for God's sakes. uh, the music in The Witcher 3 is also talking about Skellige, right? Skellige's music is, I think, the best in the game. Um, the music is just is awesome. I think there are some Witcher 3 in very clear Witcher 3 influences in Elden Ring as well, which I think is one of the reasons that I love the game so much. Um, as I said in my Shadow of the Erdtree review, the one that I just published, like not, I mean, it's obvious, but like not everybody likes open world games, but I really do. I love open worlds. I love them. I much prefer them to really any other kind of thing. So yeah, it's not, I think, a surprise that most of my favorite games are open world setting. I just love that freedom, that exploration. Um, yeah. So what about you guys? Let me hear some more faves in here. Non-Souls games faves. What's everybody's? Yeah, Red Dead. Red Dead is great. Red Dead is great. Red Dead is very good. Ghost Runner I've never heard of. I'll have to check it out. Red Dead Redemption 2 was really no, I don't know if yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't really think that it's a Souls game. What do you guys think? I mean, other than that, it's hard, right? Like, it doesn't have a lot in common, I feel like. Ghost of Tsushima is good. I haven't played it, but I do. Ghost of Tsushima is on my list because it's come to PC, so I think I can play it. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's not Solebre necessarily too far-fetched because I do remember reading that Miyazaki was, um, one of their influences was The Witcher. So, and The Witcher 3 is steeped in Polish folklore. So I think it's totally feasible. Did anybody else buy my theory? I feel like probably nobody did, but my my theory that Putrescent Knight has some Hollow Knight vibes. He's got those eyes, that cartoonish face. Everything's purple, and black and gray, and he's got Knight in his name. I just feel like it can't be a coincidence. I don't know though, and maybe it's just cope. It's a nice thought. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out, like, I feel like I want to like gift you guys memberships because I feel like I'm able to do that. I'm supposed to be able to do that, but I don't know how. Sorry. Blood of the Wild. Strange Man would be funny because I heard Blood of the Wild was inspired by DS1. Breath of the Wild, yeah. It's on the Wikipedia page for Elden Ring that they were inspired by Breath of the Wild. But that's a game I haven't played, actually, so I don't know. I'm trying to see. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out if it's possible to do settings, maybe. How does everyone feel about Lies of P? I know Googly Mowgli likes it. I started playing Lies of P a couple months ago, and then I took a break to do my no hits. So I'm really just at the beginning of Lies of P, but I've liked what I've seen so far. Okay, Charlie does not like it as well. I like the aesthetics. I've been really digging it. One thing, and it's not a criticism, but it is interesting to me. I feel like the delays in that game are the like the actual version of the delays that people pretend are in Elden Ring. People complain so much about delays in Elden Ring, and they're not that bad. The delays are so much worse in Lies of P. So it's so interesting to me that like you never hear people complain about that, but they like to bitch and moan about Elden Ring so much with delays. So I keep finding that so interesting. I mean, even those initial enemies that you fight as soon as you get to the train station have like egregious delays, way more than anything that you see in Elden Ring anywhere. So I think that's super interesting. But I like how it's sort of a combination the um, of the Sekiro deflect with the Bloodborne rally. I like that combination. I think that's really smart. Very innovative. Yeah, you don't dodge. Yeah, it's another game with a sidestep, right? That's my theory. Is like if a game has a sidestep, it's not designed to be dodged. Yeah, that's a really good point, Jose Victor. Yeah, Jose, where are you from? We've been swapping locations. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't. I live in Maryland, USA. I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up in Boston, but I've lived in Maryland for 10 years. Yes, I Irish American. Yeah, I am American. Yeah. Um, what's my most cancelable Souls take? That's a really good question. Shit. Oh, I know the answer to it. I've hinted at this before. I really don't like Soul of Cinder. I think he's a bad boss, and that's the one that people get the maddest at me about. So I think that's probably my most controversial Souls opinion. I don't know though. I don't know if it's that controversial. Oh yeah, that is cancelable. I might cancel you, Abraham. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, I love Gale. He's my favorite boss, but I never I never care if people don't like a boss. You know, like I think it's so weird that people get mad about it. It's like, who the fuck cares if you don't like the same bosses? I think it's so strange. I think it's strange to care enough about video games to get mad about anything with them. I said it to somebody in a comment that left like a nasty comment to me. I said this, but like I run an entire channel based on video games, and even I never get mad about people's video game opinions. And I don't understand how anybody could. Like, how can you go outside, motherfucker? Like, how can you care that much that somebody not liking a boss makes you actively angry? You know, like, all right, you don't like Gale, that's fine by me, you know? Soul of Cinder is a mess between combo, you can't iframe. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we have some Soul of Cinder dislikers. Um, I do encounter though, like a lot of people that do. It seems like in here nobody's that offended by it, but I've encountered a lot of people that really like him and get quite salty if you dislike him, if you dislike him. But yeah, he exists in this very interesting space where there's a few bosses that are very easy to beat on a normal playthrough, but extremely difficult in a no-hit context. And I often think that having that huge dichotomy reveals mechanical deficiencies. Like it shouldn't be that massive of a chasm. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about Bloodborne, to be honest with you. Like, I think Bloodborne's best part is the walking around and killing enemies stuff. Like the level to level experience is really great in Bloodborne, but a lot of the bosses are pretty mid. Um, I mean, it's kind of similar to a lot of stuff where like the best bosses are in the DLC. Um, but there is, I think, quite a bit of nostalgia with Bloodborne. I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, phase two for Soul of I don't think you're alone in that, Soul of Break. Phase two is much easier than phase one. Phase one is a mess. Phase two is actually not mechanically problematic to me of Soul of Cinder. It's phase one where all of the bullshit is with Soul of Cinder. I've talked a lot about branching combos in the DLC. Um, he has a lot of branching combos, but unlike the bosses in the DLC, where there are very clear telegraphs, even if you have to react quickly to which direction the combos are going to go in, some of Soul of Cinder's telegraphs are like one. There's one of them where it's just the only telegraph is does he shuffle his feet a little bit, and it's a huge difference in how you have to react. So it's functionally impossible with that combo, branching combo, for example. And the only way that you can really safely deal with it is just to constantly dodge backwards. So you're just dodging when you're no hitting him. You're just dodging backwards all the time, which I find like really unengaging. And the old soft shoe shuffle, yeah. And and then the scimitar phase is again like there's three windows for punishment, and you have to be extremely good at the game to execute those punishments. I feel like so really like the average person is just dodging back from the entire scimitar phase and waiting for it to be over. It's just like yeah, I just think it's not that good. I also don't care for him as a concept. Um, but anyway, I'll stop shitting on Soul of Cinder. He just frustrates me that he's the final boss. Um, Never played Nio. Everybody says I think I'm putting that on the list though because I hear a lot of good things about that. Soul of Cinder Spirit Face does suck. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah, it's so fucking annoying. Yeah, that whole fight, man. God damn. All right, Abraham shared his most cancelable take. Let's hear some other ones though. Who's got a good cancelable? Maybe Pedro's is that Bloodborne is overrated. That'll get you canceled for sure. You cannot say that. People are so precious about Bloodborne. Wilhelm, is that your cancelable take? Yeah, Pontiff was supposed to be the final boss, and you can definitely tell. Yeah, that's a hot take, but I think it's probably not wrong. I mean, there are some bullshit regions in Elden Ring that they could have done without. So, um, okay, that's Wilhelm's. Wilhelm's shared his. Um, yeah, I wouldn't cancel you for it. I don't think I agree with it. But I can, I can see why some people. I mean, Elden Ring has some. Elden Ring has some toxic ass fans for sure. I've met many of them. Okay, yeah, that's a hot take about the DLC. I mean, I think it's true though, right? Like the DLC has the everybody when you ask people like who their favorite bosses are, if they say bosses from Bloodborne, it's Ludwig, it's Maria, it's Orphan. They're all in the DLC, like all of them. Crucible Knight, Bell-bearing Hunter, Tree Sentinel are underrated bosses. Yeah, I think I like those bosses. Bell-bearing Hunter is super fun to parry. Oh, that is one satisfying, and all of the Crucible Knights are also extremely satisfying parries. Okay, here's it. Yeah, okay, Abraham. Abraham's coming in with very hot takes. Um, yeah, I think there's I think the community, I've certainly found by doing this YouTube channel, that the community is way better than I feared it would be. My like comments are overwhelmingly positive, overwhelmingly, and so I think I think there are just places where the like worst people go. So I think Reddit is particularly bad. Um, I think it attracts a lot of the worst kinds of Souls people, and I think that's where a lot of people get their idea of what the get good crowd is, because there you really can find a lot of people that are just complete assholes. But in other spaces like YouTube here, I think you're totally right, Abraham, that people are very cool. Yeah, I stopped using. Yeah, yeah. I only now basically use Reddit, like I said in one of my videos, essentially for research to be like, what are people saying about this boss or this game? But as a place to actually go and enjoy, it's terrible. It's horrible. Elden Ring Reddit is terrible. Yeah, Steam is also like pretty bad. Steam comments, I'm only getting to know now because when I built my PC at the same time as I started this YouTube channel. So I built my first PC in February, uh, and before that I was just consoles. So I never used Steam until 5 months ago. So I'm just getting acquainted with it now. But the Steam community pages are rough. They are super rough. Rough in like a weird way. Rough in a like shitting on the game way, right? Like it's so weird. Reddit is shitting on everybody for not being good at the game and asking for help, and Steam is just like ragging on the game in a very gross, toxic-y way. Ooh, Austin, good take, good take. It's been too long since I've done DS1, and yeah, so I can't comment too much on it. Fextra Life is also a mess. The comments on Fextra are they maybe Fextra could win for the most toxic community. The comments on Fextra are abominable. It might be the worst place. Oh, thank you. Thanks, man. Thanks, Misa. I can't see. I lost my glasses. I left them on an airplane, so I'm like semi-blind. Boss replay arena feature. I think it would be great. I mean, for me, it's not a problem, um, because I'm on PC, so I could just use Cheat Engine to revive bosses as many times as I want. But you know, when you're on console, you don't have access to that. So I think it would be I think it would be really great if console users had access to that. The weird thing is they did it with Sekiro, so it's not like they're philosophically opposed to it. I don't know why they haven't done it with anything else. But yeah, if you're on PC, you can just get a mod and revive bosses as many times as you want. I do it all the time. I mean, no way am I doing an entire playthrough of a game just to refight a boss. I have no interest in doing that. Oh, Sekiro has a pause button because there's no online feature. You can't play Sekiro online, but you can play Elden Ring and Dark Souls online, so it's not possible to pause. So that's why Sekiro has a pause button, is that there's no online. Yeah, I mean, you can sort of like cheat pause it by like, um, I think Fighting Cowboy always pauses it by like using the screenshot feature. So there are like ways to kind of technically pause it, but uh, the I think you can still get hit in the game when you're doing that if you're online. Have you guys noticed that like a lot of like the big streamers, they're kind of like assholes to their chats. Like notice they like yell at them and stuff all the time. And like people ask questions and they get mad and interpret it in the weirdest way. Like I was just watching I made a post on my community page about that Bushy video where he was judging all of the remembrance weapons, but like, but using baseline stats for everything, which I just thought was like a really weird way to do it. But I watched that video and somebody asked him because he used Millicent's prosthesis and wing sword insignia in like he used them at the same time. Um, and of course, like you can't get that on the same playthrough, right? So the way that he's clearly doing it is through cheat engine. He's just adding items, which I think is fine for a challenge run, right? Like he's not you don't need if all you're trying to do is showcase different weapons, there's no need for you to like go through two entire cycles to get all the items. Like it's different if you're saying can I beat the game in a certain way, then you can't do something like that in my opinion. But if you're just going in and saying let me try out these weapons, then yeah, of course add it, right? But he got like super mad at that person for asking that question, and I think that they were probably just like asking genuinely, like, "Oh, I didn't know that you could do that," right? But like, yeah. Anyway, Lil Aggie does seem chill, but I've seen him also be kind of a dick to his chat. I don't know, it's just weird, but he does seem chill. I like watching his videos. Yeah, he seems pretty chill. He's super good at the game. I'm so jealous. But I like wonder if it'll be interesting to replay Elden Ring now that I've done so many of these no hits. All right, friends. I think I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna go try to throw myself against Radon again and probably fail and get mad and then watch Bob's Burgers. So it was awesome to talk with you guys. I'm definitely going to do this again because this was super fun. So, yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Later.